Readers, listeners, and viewers to another edition of the Pewter Report podcast, a post-game edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized by Celsius. I am John Ledyard from pewterreport.com. With me is Scott Reynolds, also of pewterreport.com. And wow, Scott, we have a lot to talk about in this show because the Bucs won a game that was somehow exciting against the Jets. They had two defensive backs end up almost in Canada right before the game. One of their star wide receivers quit and threw his pads off during the game. Another guy who nobody's ever even heard of had an unbelievable performance. Gronkowski was Gronkowski. Brady was Brady. The Bucs beat the Jets 28-24, and just about everything you could think of happened in between that, Scott. What a wild day for the Bucs.
No, it was insane, John. And we even had a roster move happen seconds after the game. Antonio Brown gone as a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously the right call by Bruce Arians. You can't quit on a team in a game and expect to stay on the team. I mean, especially a guy with the character background of AB. I think the team tolerated his antics as long as they could. And something like this is simply unforgivable. And Bruce Arians didn't really address it in the post-game press conference, but he said the most important thing, which is he's no longer a Buccaneer, referring to Antonio Brown.
Right, and that was what you needed to hear. There was not much doubt about it in our mind going into, I know that post-game presser, we kind of knew what the direction it was. But for people who, I mean, I don't know how you missed it, but Antonio Brown in the third quarter, near the end of the third quarter, Bucs offense is on the field.
Yeah.
And Bruce Arians apparently told Jay Glazer he wants Brown to go back out onto the field at this point in time. Brown refuses. Somebody else said, Brown said his ankle was sore. Sorry, I forget who said that. Arians said, okay, well, and you're going to be done for the day, because he had been in and out already a bunch. And so Arians probably wanted some stability down the stretch, trying to come back from down 2 scores. And I'm not sure how that, since he didn't want to go back in anyway with the sore ankle, led to, I mean, there's very little logic. I covered AB in Pittsburgh. I saw the whole meltdown, everything as was happening. There's usually very little logic. It just happens. He blows up. There's no processing. He thinks the world's out to get him. And boom, you end up in this kind of situation. He throws his pads off. Mike Evans tried to stop him. O.J. Howard tries to stop him. He throws his pads off. He throws a fit. He throws his shirt off, his gloves. Everything's off. He's waving in the end zone to fans, shirtless. Then he goes in the locker room, high-fiving people as he goes in. He's leaves the locker room, takes pictures with security guards on the way out. I have no freaking clue what this guy's doing. He's seat photographs standing on the side of the road waiting for a ride. They just blew it, just left him in New Jersey. It's an absolutely bizarre story. We're kind of laughing about it. It's kind of sad because he's obviously got some issues. Like, we don't really know the extent of it. We're not going to speculate.
I mean,
we're not even going to talk.
I'm not laughing at AB. I'm laughing at the comment I put up, which is poor Cyril that basically has a walk-off and can't make the preview. Yeah. Well, the news is Antonio Brown quitting on the team and then getting cut.
I did put Cyril in the description, by the way. If you look, he is mentioned in the description. We are going to spend more show talking about the good things than AB, but we got to start with AB because obviously this changes the picture moving forward. I don't want to spend a ton of time, and I don't think you do either, Scott, on what actually happened with AB. Everybody kind of knows what we know at this point, and it is what it is. We rehashed it there just quickly. But, like, for the Bucs to go on and win this game where Mike Evans is clearly not 100%, no AB, no Chris Godwin, obviously. The receivers who were out there in this game did step up on that final drive. We'll talk about that. Brady was the sensational story of the game. There won't be the story because of the AV stuff and the way that the defense played probably, but you never expected it to be like a nail biter against the Jets in the final seconds, especially given the Jets were decimated on both sides of the ball.
No, I mean, I'll readily admit I threw down hard on the Buccaneers, even with the 14-point favorites on my bookie, and I lost big time. But glad the Buccaneers won. But John, the thing is sometimes, we've heard the term poetic justice, right? And let's think about this. Cyril Grayson now, for the second straight game, has had 81 yards. What's Antonio Brown's number?
81.
81, right?
Wow.
And the thing is I've never seen, and I witnessed this in real time, just like you did on social media, Twitter especially. I've never seen a Buccaneer player go from hero to villain as quickly as Antonio Brown was.
The comments on the live stream were unbelievable.
It was insane how quickly he has gone from hero to zero in the mind of Buccaneer fans, right? And these were the Buccaneer fans that were basically saying, like, stick it, Tampa Bay Times and John Romano. He's our guy. He had 10 catches, 101 yards against the Panthers, And all of a sudden, this antics happen, and rightly so. The correct response from Buccaneer fans is, yeah, he's out of here.
Get him out.
Get him out of here. Right. But
I mean, there are some, by the way. I mean, we even have some clowns in this chat, I'm sure, that will creep up.
Sure, yeah.
Time, but you're going to get John, those. But yes, you're right, by and large.
A new hero is anointed, like a matter of an hour later, right? Yes. Cyril Grayson with
what a great story.
With just an amazing catch. I mean, John, that was a tough catch. Okay.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think the best part, Scott, was the mental processing by Cyril to realize he's settling down in that space. He's not continuing to run.
Right.
He's beating the corner. They're playing zone. And so the safety's trying to come over off the hash.
Yeah.
Grayson knows it. And he knows that with the safety coming off the hash, Brady has to put a back shoulder for him.
Yep.
Otherwise, that safety's going to undercut that throw, pick it, and the game will be over.
Right.
So just his ability to get past the corner, realize the corner's sitting down, realize that it's a cover 2 look, and that safety is trying to close on that sideline, and immediately look for that back shoulder catch.
Right.
It was just great mental processing by him. We're talking about a guy who didn't play football in college to know exactly where Brady was going to put that football. It's mental processing we didn't see from a lot of the other wideouts in this game.
No, you're exactly right. And the thing too, John, about Cyril on that particular play is the Bucs have no timeouts. Okay. So he's catching the ball, and he's catching it with his back to the end zone.
Yep.
And he's got the presence of mind to continue to kind of swirl and dive around and get in there. Because the thing is, if he's touched down, right, and I can't remember how far away the defensive back was. There was a little bit of separation there. But if he's on the ground and he's not in the end zone and he is touched down, like let's say at the 1 yard line, okay, that's going to be a hard play to get off with 15 seconds left, to get everybody running 33 yards down the field and then to spike it. The Buccaneers probably have that opportunity to do so with maybe a second or two left. But again, the way he finished that catch, getting into the end zone in a very heroic fashion was something that you would see out of a veteran, not a guy coming into this game with 5 career catches, John.
Yeah.
I mean, it was sensational. He had, 6 catches today? 6 catches for 81 yards, came into the game with 5 catches, 5 career catches.
And didn't he have 4 catches on the final drive or something like that?
Yes.
He had 4 targets, maybe.
4 catches for 52 yards on the final drive.
Yeah.
And again, all of those targets, all 9 of those passes were either to Tyler Johnson, who got 3 of them, and he was targeted 4 times, or to Cyril Grayson, who was targeted 5 times, catching 4 of those.
Yeah.
So
and
just
Cyril Grayson's
amazing.
not just, he's not just this fun little anecdotal story anymore, although he is that spot, but now they need him. He might start the rest of the way. That's legitimately the situation. I mean, you're going to have Brashad Perriman, Tyler Johnson, and Cyril Grayson playing a ton of snaps the rest of the way. And I will look, but I bet Grayson led the way of those guys in this game. Certainly, it seemed like he had way more snaps than Perriman in this game. And obviously, Evans will be out there when he's 100%, but no Godwin and no AB the rest of the way. Those are huge blows for the Bucs. I'm honestly not sure they can overcome them, Scott, not because I don't think Gronk and Evans are good enough, but because I'm probably going to upset some people when I say this, but if you're talking about value in the Bucs scheme, what is the most value? I just think Godwin and AB represented at full health more value than what Evans does. Just my opinion. I'm not saying it is the correct answer. People can have their opinions about it. All 3 are great. Nobody's debating that. We're talking about out of those 3. So I think that it's harder to replace their roles. Now they have basically nobody to play and do any of the things Chris Godwin did in the passing game. Grayson's not experienced enough to play that role full time. Johnson has proven kind of what he is, and we'll say some good things about him too. But he's kind of proven what he is and what he's not more than anything.
Right.
And Miller's an outside receiver, and Brashad Perriman's never been anything like what Chris Godwin's role. He never played anything close to that in his career. It's not his.
The thing is, Scotty Miller's way down in the depth chart at this point in time, right? I mean, I think Cyril Grayson from these last 2 games has elevated himself above Brashad Perriman, and it certainly was that way in the terms of the targets. You'll have the snap counts for us tomorrow, John, on pewterreport.com. But Gronkowski was targeted 10 times, had 7 catches, 115 yards. Cyril Grayson was. This was the Gronk they needed the last couple of weeks, but he showed up on time today for sure. Cyril Grayson with 8 targets in this game, second most behind Gronkowski. Tyler Johnson was next at actually, I should say Mike Evans was next at 7. Tyler Johnson at 6. Rashard Perriman only had 3 targets. Now, he did have a 32-yard catch, 2 catches for 41 yards total. But I mean, you heard Arian say it after the game that Cyril Grayson really has earned Tom Brady's trust. And it's only going to grow even more after today's performance.
Right. I mean, this is the reality of the Bucs offense. People are going to say Brady's won more with less, and that's 100% true. It's a different scheme. It relies more on different players. Getting Fournette and Giovanni Bernard back will help. If Giovanni Bernard does return, we don't know, but all of a sudden that becomes kind of an important one, Scott, because they're going to probably do some different stuff when they get into the playoffs. I don't know what they'll do against the Panthers next week, but when they get into the playoffs, Scott, this is probably going to be like you might see some 2-back from the Bucs, and they might put Giovanni Bernard in the slot at times to run routes. He might do some Chris Godwin type stuff. I mean, if he's back, we don't even know if he's going to be back. And so in Fournette, you don't know if he's going to be back first round of the playoffs.
That's right.
And Ronald Jones got hurt today. And so not that he's an asset in the passing game, but you literally run him with Keyshawn Vaughn and Le'Veon Bell to finish the game. By the way, dude, does Bell, I know he had 2 catches in this game and wasn't necessarily, he was pretty open on both of them, but do you think I don't know if he could run under 5 seconds in the 40. Like, I mean, I'm not kidding.
He's always been a hesitant type runner, right? He's always been that guy that kind of like tiptoes up and waits for the hole and then accelerates. He can't accelerate anymore. So he's just
nothing. He has no gas at all. He had the sideline wide open and it was just like
couldn't
slow
get
motion.
there.
It was hilarious to watch. But
and John, I think too, and again, I'm not trying to rain on anyone's parade or be the Debbie Downer or whatever, but I mean, if this defense, and we talked about it at halftime when I came on, if this defense can't get sacks and takeaways, the Buccaneers are going nowhere in the playoffs. They're just not. And without AB, without Godwin, they're not going to have the firepower against a team like the Rams or the Cowboys or whatever. The Bucs defense has got to play like they played the last 2 weeks. I'm not saying hold a team to 6 points or 9 points, but you got to get some sacks. You got to get some takeaways. This is a pedestrian defense without it, and again, I appreciate Bruce Arians' swagger and bravado about, you can't, nobody runs on us. I don't care who the hell you are. Listen, man, I mean, the running game is an attrition-based attack. And if you have success with it and you can stick with it because the score dictates that you can, and certainly the Buccaneers were trailing, John, up until the last 15 seconds of the game.
And they didn't defend the run well from the first drive in this game. Devin White and Kevin Minter might have been their worst game of the season, both of them. Certainly Minter's. He was atrocious in all aspects. He got torched. It's a clear indication. I mean, again, I think Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, he made some plays in the run game, to be honest, especially near the end of the game. The quarterback sneak was obviously one, but then there was another one in the running game. And they were cracking him a lot and like kind of doubling up on him and then like trying to get outside of those guys. And the linebackers couldn't get over and to make plays because they were getting pinned down. So some of it was that, but Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul, when Pierre-Paul was healthy, were good, very good run defenders. So that's had an impact.
John,
but yeah, the linebackers played as bad as they did today. You won't get
John. Ask me how many tackles Devin White had today. Ask me. This is the middle linebacker. Tackles? This is the middle linebacker.
How many tackles did Devin White have today?
It was a Pro Bowl alternate, right?
Yeah, I think that did happen somehow.
Okay. John, how many times did the Bucs run or get run on today? What was the total count? Do you remember?
I can look.
26 carries, 150 yards, 5.8 yards per carry. 2 touchdowns for the Jets.
Yeah.
Devin White, 2 tackles. 2.
I mean, we're going to have a conversation about Devin White at the end of the year if people are ready for it. I think it's taken all season, but people might be ready for it. But I mean, I watch the tape every week and I send you guys clips. I send
blocks.
You good thing.
He cannot get off blocks.
And guess what? This is what has to happen. It has to fire up here fast enough to beat blocks.
That's
to
right.
spots.
That's
You're
right.
not going to get off a ton of blocks as a linebacker. Play through them. Beat him to spots, get leverage in a gap situation, and it just doesn't happen for him. He doesn't process like that. So the Bucs can believe he is whatever they want to believe, but you've seen the run defense without Levante David out there. You've seen the tape now at this point enough.
And not just that, Shaq Barrett. Let's give Shaq Barrett some credit because he's a very good run defender. Okay, he is.
Despite being small.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, those 2 guys, Levante David and Shaq Barrett, they get them back for the playoffs. Something like this is not going to happen with those two guys in the field, right? And listen, I agree with everything you said about Kevin Minter. Kind of a liability in coverage, right? You get a running back on him in coverage, and it's not a fair fight. Minter had 5 tackles, right? And Devin White had 2. And without Levante David, Devin White needs to kind of be Superman of this defense, and he's not.
No, he's not even close. I don't even know if that's in his wheelhouse, to be honest, outside of those 2 playoff games last year where we saw it happen. Hey, Scott, we got to talk about some good news before we get to more of this defense.
Yes,
and it's our friends over at Celsius, because Celsius powers active lives every day with essential functional energy, no sugar, an unbelievable variety of awesome flavors, including this peach vibe I'm holding in my hand here that I may need if I need a late night of work tonight. We'll see. A lot of AB news. We'll see what gets posted on social media. We have a feeling we're not done yet with this story, as we never are with them, it seems. But lots of great flavors for sure from Celsius. Again, no sugar, bunch of awesome taste. If you want to know what they sell, where they sell it near you, and what flavors are being sold, you can check out Celsius.com, use the store locator, find where they are near you, or use those banner ads at PewterReport.com. Click on those, go to the Amazon subscribe and save option, get them coming to your house with regularity. Scott, you got John, a Fuji apple pear there.
Yeah, I don't know if it was I don't know if it was like foreshadowing today or what, but I had an AP, as I call them, right? The apple pear for a day that turned out to be all about AB. So good stuff though.
That might have been for sure. So people have asked a little bit just quickly about Antonio Brown. Will another team pick him up? Scott and I both believe his career is over. Yeah. This Brady and Arians, man, like it's there ain't no other chance happening here. Like this is to one of the most stable and well-liked coaches, and probably the most stable and well-liked leader of all time, and Tom Brady, and they couldn't do it with him. So I don't think anybody else is ever going to try again. It's over for AB.
The only team I could possibly think of, right? Because if you're Antonio Brown, you're not going to go to a losing team, right? You're just not. You're going to want to go to a playoff caliber team. The only team that I could think of that could possibly take a flyer on this guy would be Kansas City with Reed and Mahomes.
I mean, they definitely don't care about characters. So
they don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's going to happen. I agree with you 1,000%. I think he's done in the NFL.
Yeah.
For the reasons that you said, Brady and Arians are 2 of the most stand-up quality individuals in the NFL. And if you're going to blow it with those 2 guys, I don't. But if there is an opportunity for him to go somewhere, maybe it's Kansas City because of Mahomes and Reed, and because they'll take an outcast.
Yeah. The other part is that he's not fully healthy, and that's even if there weren't all the other stuff, I don't think he gets signed. But the fact that he's not fully healthy is going to complicate things too. And we literally are at the end of the regular season here, so we'll see what happens. But it would be shocking to say the least, especially since I don't think his social media tirade is probably far from over. If I know Antonio Brown. Wait a few days and the bomb will go off, and et cetera, et cetera. So, by the way, we appreciate everybody jumping in the chat. We love it. We love the numbers on the show right now. Everybody, if you're in the show right now, there's a ton of you in here. Just hit the like button, hit the thumbs up button for us. Helps us a ton. Boosts our YouTube SEO. Let's get some crazy numbers in here. Let's get it going. We appreciate the heck out of y'all. Y'all have been awesome. And make sure you're subscribed to Pewter Report TV YouTube channel. Even if you're like, I'm just floating through, hit the subscribe button. It's not going to make you watch anything.
It's free.
If you're not going to, it's free.
It's free.
It doesn't mean anything. It helps us out a ton. So if you feel the kindness in your heart, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. Help to boost us. Y'all got us over 6,500 recently, and we greatly appreciate that, obviously. Scott, let's talk about the Bucs offense a little bit here. Outside of the Antonio Brown stuff, this was a frustrating day for the Bucs offense. I felt like Tom Brady played really well, and obviously was the reason that the team won in the end of this game. But I felt like everyone around him really struggled in the last drive. They did put it together, and I give him credit for that, for sure. Gronkowski was kind of like the stabilizing force in this game for the Bucs. He played great. Brady made probably several of his best throws of the year in this game. The one to Grayson to win the game, obviously, incredible throw. The one to Gronkowski down the middle of the field on the drive, I believe, that ended with the interception, actually. was an incredible throw.
Oh, that was one of the best throws I've seen all season.
I've ever seen. Like, that
the
was
window.
Unbelievable.
The window
was,
you
couldn't even see him.
God,
It was amazing. He had a dime to Evans deep. He just threw some of his best balls of the game. The throw to Perryman as AB was going nuts in the opposite end zone, or whatever he was in the field. I don't even know. The throw to Perryman, I think it was a third down throw on that over route, hit him right in the hands. Despite tight coverage, set him up for a touchdown. The throw to Brate, putting it right on him while he boxed out the defender. Great catch by Brate.
I'll tell you what. Listen, I put Cam Brate on the most impressive, because that was one hell of a throw and catch right there, and that was clutch. That was fourth down. In my opinion, if they don't get that touchdown, the game's over. Just from a time and a score standpoint, I don't think they have the time and the points to make a comeback. So, say what you want about Cam Brate. I'm not just saying you, John. I'm with you 1,000% on your analysis of Cam Brate. He's just 30 years old, and he was squeezing every bit of athletic ability he had from his body when he was younger, and he's gone through a lot of injuries. All right, but this is the second week in a row we've seen Cam Brate score a red zone touchdown, and that's what this guy does best. If that's his role in this team, is to just catch one or two passes a game, but one of them's a touchdown, there's still some value in Cam Brate, because Tom Brady trusts this guy, right? I mean, let's go back to that Green Bay game and the NFC Championship game. Right after that Jordan Whitehead forced fumble, Devin White scoops it up. They go down there, and they tack on another touchdown. They throw that pass to Cam Brate. He can be a money player in the red zone, and he's still getting more playing time than OJ Howard. So.
Right. I agree with you. He is going to be another guy that is a key player down the stretch. There's no question in my mind. He's had a bad season. There's no question in my mind today. He made a great, important catch for this team. I agree with you that they needed that play, and he made that play. That was a huge play in the game. They need him to be better too than he's been this season. There's no, you can talk about Tyler Johnson, talk about new guy Brashad Perriman coming over. I know he knows the system a little bit, but the changes with Brady and Leftwich taking more control. He doesn't know as much. And you can talk about Cyril Grayson all you want, but at the end of the day, Cam Brady is the veteran. He's the guy that balled out last year in the playoffs for this team. So they need him to be really good in this game for this offense.
I think he had 4 catches for 80 yards against Washington in the first round.
That's right. Yeah.
You're right. He has to step up. Tyler Johnson's a player that when he dropped that touchdown pass, I said in the group, the PR group text, and I'm just being fully transparent here, because I'll call players out and I'll give them props. I said, man, I think I'm done with Tyler Johnson after that play.
And was a huge drop in the game.
It was a huge drop. It was a tough catch, but you're an NFL player. Brady put it right into your hands. You got to catch that. But then Tyler Johnson steps up, 3 catches for, I think, 52 yards or 41 yards, 3 catches, 41 yards on that final drive, including a 27-yarder, 2 plays before the touchdown pass to get the Bucs down to the Jets' 43-yard line, and kind of redeemed himself there, right? I mean, he's got to keep coming on, and I think consistency has really been an issue for him. You can't be hot and cold, and he was that today, but at least he ended hot. And it's crazy to look back at the game book and see this, but Rob Gronkowski, Mike Evans were not targeted at all on that final drive. It was all Tyler Johnson and all Cyril Grayson with all 9 of Brady's targets.
Right. And Brady got the looks that he wanted in a lot of those situations. Obviously, that was a big part of it. Mike Evans, we've talked a little bit about his performance. By the way, people asking, he's 54 yards away from 1,000 yards on the season. So it was a rough game for Mike Evans. He is not 100%. That should be acknowledged for sure. Paul and I talked about the play that ended up being an interception. Brady is throwing it up. He wants a 50-50 ball. Evans jump ball in that situation before the half, trying to get them in field goal range, or he wants a situation where they get a penalty called there. The corner's dropping off, and so it's deep into deep.
You know what, John? I've given some more thought about what you said, and I went back and looked at it. It had almost looked to me as if Evans couldn't gear down because of that hamstring, couldn't slam the brakes on.
It could be a factor for sure,
and kind of drifted a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to make excuses for the guy. I'm just trying to say, if that's the case and he made the mistake, was it a physical mistake or was it a mental mistake? It could have been both. It could have been mental, or it could have been just man, I'm not going to be able to slam the brakes on and get this pass that's underthrown on purpose because it's supposed to be kind of a jump ball back shoulder type situation. Because with those hamstrings, I give Mike a lot of credit for going out there and playing. And as you said, it needs just 51 yards. Did have the touchdown catch.
Right. He did have the touchdown catch. That the interception, I felt like that, that was probably I thought 3 points off the board given where they were on the field. Like I thought that might have been points off the board, points to the Jets too, obviously on the return. That was a big play. And then he dropped the pass on a second down, the deep shot. He adjusted to it well, but he it was right through his hands.
Right in his hands.
Got to make those plays. Like those are the plays, and I know you're right. He's hurt, and I'm not trying to diss because I don't know what he's working through in this game per se, but I know that in this situation, the Bucs, they're just hurt or not, he has to be awesome for them to get where they're going this season, Scott. There's no AB and no Godwin. He's got to be awesome. He's got to be more consistent. He's got to be more versatile than he's ever been in his career, probably in terms of being able to move around, do different things. They're going to ask a ton of him. And I don't know what he's 54 yards away. I don't know if he plays next week against the Panthers or not, but I know that he needs to be better than he was in this game. And I think it wasn't just him, but they need other guys to step up right now.
I want to see the Bucs come out and just target Mike in the first quarter and just get him to 50-some yards and just have him sit. That's the best case scenario, is to get him 2 catches, 60 yards, one of which is a touchdown, and just have him sit the rest of the game and get ready for the first round of the playoffs. So we appreciate the super chat from Trustin. $12.04 because of our record. The Bucs win the Super Bowl this year. This is more impressive than 2020. I know last year was Tom's first year, but with us, we were healthy. This would be nuts with the injuries. That's true. This would be certainly a more difficult run for the Buccaneers, even though you could sit there and say, well, they ran the gambit with those road playoff games, and I give them credit for that. But yes, the common denominator in the Bucs' 2 lone Super Bowl appearances and, John, 2 Super Bowl championships is you look at the players who had injured reserve. The Bucs had 1 starter on IR in 2002. There was nose tackle Booger McFarland. That's it. It was a healthy football team. Last year, you could say O.J. Howard, but it was really Rob Gronkowski was the starter. Their only starter on IR last year, John, in the Super Bowl was Alex Kappa, the right guard. Everybody else, including Vita Vea, was back. So this was a very healthy Buccaneer team. This year, it's been well documented, all the injuries.
Right. It has been. I'm watching the end of this Cardinals-Cowboys game out of the corner of my eye because obviously big ramifications for the Bucs. If the Cowboys lose, the Cardinals go to the 3 seed, the Bucs go to the 3 seed. So there are some ramifications here. And I think the Cardinals just got a first down that should allow them to ice it. Maybe I don't believe the Cowboys
they're at the 2-minute warning. And yes, Kyler Murray ran 9 yards to the Dallas 20. So they have first down. The Cowboys are out of timeouts. We're at the 2-minute warning. The Cardinals are in field goal range right now, being at the Dallas 20.
Right. And they should be able to kneel it down here, I would think. The 2-minute warning, Dallas, I believe, has no timeout. So we'll see what ends up happening in that game. We'll keep you updated. People have asked about the Saints game.
25-22 is
Saints,
the score.
Oh, is that final?
No, I'm just saying 25-22 is the score.
Okay.
Cardinals in the lead.
Saints won 18-10. They're 8-8. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have not had a second to look at scenarios today.
I haven't either.
I think the Saints are still alive.
They are.
The 49ers also won those, so it makes their path narrow, I believe.
Yes.
If it exists at all. It does exist, you're saying? They are still alive?
With the Vikings 49ers or the Saints?
The Saints. I know the 49ers are.
I believe they are.
The Eagles did win today, so the Eagles stay in the driver's seat for the Saints are alive. Okay, thank you, people in the chat. I appreciate it.
The Saints are alive. The Eagles are still alive. It's all a lot of these eliminations are going to come down to next week.
Right. So the Bucs would move to the 3rd seed right now. They would play the 49ers, I believe, if the playoffs started today. 49ers won with Trey Lance today over the Texans 23-7. We're not going to get into those scenarios till later in the week. If we get to them at all in the show, but that's the ripple effect today. They almost got help from the Ravens. The Rams will play the 49ers next week, and the Rams already lost the 49ers once. If the Rams lose that game and the Bucs beat the Panthers, the Bucs will be the number 2 seed. Yes. I kind of think that's I think them getting to the 2 seed would be very helpful given all their injuries.
I agree.
It means they would probably face Philly in the first round of the playoffs. And again, they play like they did today. They could lose to anybody, including Philly for sure. But
Yeah. I'm just telling you, this is as great as the Buccaneer offense is, even with Tom Brady. And let's say Mike Evans gets healthier, and let's say Gronk is Gronk, and you've got other guys stepping up, and let's say Leonard Fournette comes back. If the Bucs defense doesn't get sacks and takeaways, and it makes impact plays, this Bucs team is just not going anywhere. They're just not.
You're right, because the defense is totally reliant on that.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about that much, Scott. Let's transition and talk about the Bucs defense. We got to, I don't care what the Bucs in terms of how many points they gave up in this game. This was an incredibly embarrassing defensive performance. Let me just break it down. I know the Bucs didn't have Dean and Murphy Bunting out there for some of the game, and then Murphy Bunting got injured. And look, man, the Bucs in this game, Scott, they were facing a Jets offense, which at full strength is one of the worst in the league. Yeah. But they were facing a Jets offense that did not have their top 3 wide receivers entering the game, did not have their top 3 tight ends entering the game, did not have their best 2 offensive linemen entering the game, did not have their number 2 running back, and lost their number 1 running back during the game, early in the game.
Right. Michael Carter got hurt, and that's actually good news for the Bucs because he was tearing him up.
We are talking about a 3rd and 4th string running back, backups all along the offensive line. They lost left tackle George Fant in this game, so they were down 3 starters on the O-line. And we're talking about a team that was scraping the bottom of the barrel with tight end at wide receiver, and they went up and down the field on the Bucs. It wasn't even the 24 points. The quarterback sneak at the end of the game was one of the worst calls you and I have ever seen in our life. They're 2.5 yards from a first down.
Yeah.
They quarterback sneak it with the Bucs in a goal line defense.
Yeah.
It made absolutely no sense at all. And that's honestly, it lost the Jets the game, because I think if they run almost anything else, they probably pick that up. Percentages are in their favor at the very least.
Yep.
So I thought it was one of the worst defensive performances I've seen, given what the other team had to offer. They were, I don't know at full strength how many legitimate starters the Jets have, but this wasn't even close to that. I know the Bucs had some injuries too, but we're still talking about defense that just worked the Panthers and worked the Saints. Like, they should be fine. Like, they should be able to win this game convincingly, and they were very, very bad at this game.
They gave up 374 total yards, 6 of 11 on third downs. So they were bad on third downs.
And did Zach Wilson have to make a tough throw all day, Scott? Was there any throw he made that you were like, wow, this kid's talented? Like,
yeah, there wasn't any wow throws. I mean, I would say probably his best throw of the game might have been to Tom Brady on the bench. I mean, that was like, that was pretty amazing. It's like, I'm going to chuck this ball out of bounds. I'm going to throw it to my idol, right? Tom, you open? You're sitting on the bench.
I didn't even see this.
Coming to you. You didn't see that?
I didn't even see this. No, I'm doing the live show, and so I'm not, trying.
So what happened was that this was right at, I think it was the Jets' last drive, and he was being flushed towards the sidelines and chucked the ball out of bounds. And Ryan Griffin is standing right in front of Tom Brady and kind of like tries to catch it and tips it. And Brady's sitting on the bench, and Brady like catches the ball one-handed. Then he gets up and points to a Jets fan, maybe a Bucs fan in the crowd, and throws the ball in the crowd. So,
I'd be like,
yeah, exactly. And of course, it being New York, I'm sure a fight ensued over that football. So God help the fan who actually tried to catch it, maybe did catch it, but that was probably one of the only few times that he was pressured in that game. But I tell you, I mean, the Buccaneers defense was so bad they made a star out of Braxton Berrios today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how production was for any of this guy. What did Berrios finish at?
8 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown. He also had 2 carries for 12 yards in the touchdown, and it was pretty good in the return game as well. But the Jets were just really efficient, and the Bucs just could not stop the run. I mean, they averaged. Let's see, the Jets had 150 yards on the ground, even. They averaged 5.8 yards per carry, and the Bucs gave up 2 splash play runs, a 55-yarder to Michael Carter, and then a 22-yarder to Johnson. And the thing is, John, it was poor tackling, it was poor run fits, it was the backers not being able to get off blocks.
Right.
I think when you go back and look at this game, and listen, I'm not pointing the finger exclusively at Minter and White, but I think they're going to be some of the bigger culprits on the missed tackles and the poor run fits.
Yeah, I mean, it's Mike Garofalo saying now it appears as if Antonio Brown just released a rap song titled "Pit Not the Palace." He just linked to it on his IG. I don't even want to know. In fact, I'm imploring everyone in this chat not to listen to this garbage. Like, I'm just imploring you not to even go there.
Don't encourage it.
But that saga, like I said, probably far from over. I'm sure there'll be a lot of more comments coming out of that one. But this defense needs Levante David. They probably need Shaq Barrett. That's not a news flash or whatever. This was a weird game in terms of pressure. Jets did max protect a good bit. I still felt like they got some pressure through. Wilson, one of his biggest knocks was holding onto the ball and taking bad sacks in college. Yeah. He actually got rid of the ball a ton in this game, like kept them in manageable spots and hit checkdowns on time. He looks like he's processing the game well. If there's any Jets fans in here looking for some solace from this one, I think Wilson looks like he's processing pretty well, and he was pretty accurate today. He didn't miss a lot of players. I thought he played pretty well given what he has to work with. He managed the game really well, and the Bucs couldn't get any. I mean, Carlton Davis had the drop pick that ended up being a field goal for the Jets. That was a big one. Anthony Nelson almost got one first real snap of the game after the penalty. Nelson,
and you know what?
Coverage and
if you look at Anthony Nelson, he had 3 tackles. I probably should have put him on the most impressive because I did like what I saw from him specifically. Wasn't perfect game from Nelson, but this guy's really coming on. He had another sack, the only sack for the Bucs today. 2 tackles for loss, had a quarterback hit, broke up a pass, and had the fumble recovery. Not that the Jets were going to score on that play, but he's the one that recovered Berrios' fumble when he tried to do the lateral. So just a really good day for Anthony Nelson. And, again, Joe Tron, Shoinka.
I thought both those guys were solid.
They were. At
least in his pass rushers, I thought they were okay. There was a lot. They were getting, their double two. I mean, the Bucs were rushing a lot. McClendon and Nacho inside. You're just not going to get much when you rush those guys inside. They were truly trying to contain the pocket. They didn't want Wilson to run like he had the week before.
Right.
They just thought that they could cover better than they did, and they just didn't cover well. I mean, Pierre Desir did not have a good game against his former team.
No, he did not.
I thought, honestly, the safeties played okay from what I could see, but you can only see so much watching live. And, Dean, I think he gave up a catch or two. Joe Davis, the linebackers gave up catches. Again, there was wasn't a lot of huge plays down the field.
Right. It was just
a lot of holes in the zone. And
it was just making plays, getting first downs, moving the ball down the field. And the thing is, it was a very balanced attack. I mean, the Jets had 26.
The biggest thing was the runs.
Yeah, they had 26 runs, 2 of which were from Wilson. So call it 24 called run plays, right? And they threw the ball 35 times, 33 pass attempts, and then of course the 2 scrambles by Wilson that ended up in 0 yards, or actually I guess add 1 more for the sack. So 36 called runs and 24 called rushes. In today's NFL, that's about as balanced an attack as you're going to get outside of the Colts.
Yeah.
So credit to the Jets. They took it to the Buccaneer defense, and it's going to be interesting to see what Bruce Arians' assessment is after watching the film. This will be if you think today's Pewter Report podcast is a must watch, be sure to come back tomorrow for a Victory Monday at 4:00 because we're going to have reaction from Bruce Arians, and you're going to get John and I's reaction to what Bruce said. So plus there'll be injury updates and things like that. So make sure that you join us here tomorrow at 4 p.m. And as John said earlier, make sure you're subscribing to us on Pewter Report TV, hitting that like button. That's so key because it helps our algorithm and it gets more Buccaneer fans aware of our Pewter Report podcast. And you guys can play a big role in that. So thank you.
Absolutely. And when we talk about this defense, we should mention, obviously, we did with no JPP, no Shaq, no Levante, Dean and SMB in one of the craziest stories of the year. They had COVID this week and they test out of the protocol, so they're good to play, but they have to fly separately. So they get to the airport to fly. So Dean told the whole story better than I will. It's hilarious. And he took like 2 minutes to tell it too, which was perfect. But they got to the airport. The pilot had COVID, and so they had to get another pilot, and then they took a really roundabout path that may or may not have gotten them somewhere in Canada, according to Arians. I think maybe they just missed Canada, but they were still super north, and then came back down to New Jersey to the game. And then Dean described the wildest driving experience of his life in this cab with a police escort, and the taxi driver, whatever, was like, "Listen, guys, just buckle up because I got to keep up with the police, and that's not going to be easy. So I'm going to be cruising." And he just said it was an insane ride. They threw their seatbelts on and they're just hanging on for dear life. Get to the stadium. Defense is getting shredded. It would have been kind of great. Neither of them really made a play, but in this game, but it would have been funny.
And the thing too is it's 50 degrees out there, and so it's not like you can just put the pads on and go out there. It's like that's a great way to play hamstring or quad or something. So you got to sit there and do some warm ups on the sidelines. So it wasn't a situation where they could just all of a sudden get dressed and hit the field. I mean, you can do that in Pop Warner, right? We had some kids come late to the game, and you're putting the helmet on. Okay, get out there and do it, because you're young, you don't pull muscles and stuff. But you're professional athletes running 22 miles per hour out there. You gotta set out a couple series and make sure that you're ready to go.
Right, no question about it. And so now the Bucs look ahead here. Well, let's get to the super chat before we look ahead, and we'll get the Manscaped game balls as well. But Mopar Buck says for a $10 super chat, we appreciate this. AB getting mad due to a benching that would have paid him his bonus is the craziest thing I thought I'd see from him. Usually he's off the field trouble. LOL, on the field he's usually balling. Yeah, this whole incentives thing was funny because people immediately were like, I bet he's mad because he wasn't getting his incentives or whatever.
It's kind of the opposite.
Yeah, right? And people forget real quick that the Bucs basically like kept Tom Brady in the game and manufactured touches in the last week of the season to get AB his incentives last year. Like that's how AB is, or BA is always trying to get people incentives. So that I bet anything that has nothing to do with anything to do with this. Like he knew his situation going in. I'm sure he wanted him to have. He had 3 catches. Like he wanted him to get catches in this game. Like there's no question about that. So that doesn't make any sense. And Glazer's report makes a lot more sense. That he was trying to get him to play, and AB, I don't know if it's his ankle or, I mean, the whole thing has been bizarre, right? Like AB's hurt. He's not that hurt. He's way hurt, more hurt. Now he wants to play. He's warming up before the game and he's going crazy and, cheering for the fans. And he's like 100% all energy. And early in the game, he's all, you just, again, this is life with, I mean, it covered the Steelers for years. This is what it is. Like, this is life with, the version of AB that we've seen the last several years in the league. And now the Bucs will have just to life without him because he's no longer a Buck. And so they'll move forward as an offense without him. And they'll have the Panthers next, Scott. We'll get to the game balls here in a second, but they'll have the Panthers next. And Panthers playing well defensively today. I know it's the Saints, but the Bucs really, they win that game. Yeah. And the Rams lose to the 49ers, and the Bucs will be the 2 seed, probably playing the Eagles in the first round of the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, and it'd be interesting because obviously the Panthers had bad taste in their mouth after that beatdown. And then they want to have an AB to contend with, right? I mean, so that's one, less chess piece off the board for the Buccaneers and for the Panthers to have to contend with. And we'll see if Cyril Grayson can continue to star for this team as the unheralded guy. Is no longer a one-game wonder. I mean, holy smokes. It's 2 games in a row now, right? I mean,
and it's 3 on the season. He's really only played in 3 games. Yeah. So
I'm going to pencil him in for 81 yards again next week. I think he's just going to try to send a message to AB saying, listen, I got your job now. I'm going to catch touchdowns in this team. Brady, trust me, and let's do this thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he honestly, Scott, he stepped up and made, I know people point to the last one, and that one obviously was the biggest one and the best one, but he made plays throughout this game that were good quality plays, just underneath stuff.
The 3rd and 20. How about that?
Third and 20. Great route, broke down, snapped the route off, knew where the sticks were.
Yep. Got the first down.
No question. But here's the thing. When you have this small sample size with him, you basically look at the situation and you say, what can he be moving forward? And that's where we don't really know. Can this be a consistent thing for him? We don't have any idea yet at this point. We're just enjoying it week to week. I have no intent of saying, okay, the Bucs are fine because Cyril Grayson, that's crazy. Right. But what we do know is Mike Evans and Rob Gronkowski are those dudes, and they've got to be those dudes the rest of the way. And Evans is going to get doubled a lot unless they start using him and they change what he does. And if they change what he does, it's going to be interesting to see if he's as effective, Scott, because he has been, when he's been at his best in his career, he has been in a certain role, and he's been even better in a lot of ways when his defenses shifted their focus to try and take him away, which defenses will do now. Right. The Bucs must change his role basically, or he will be taken away and other guys will have to make plays. It's going to be fascinating to see how they coach this.
It's going to be fascinating for me to see, and I think for all of us to see, how Byron Leftwich adjusts with formations, with play calling, without AB and without Chris Godwin going forward. And like you said, John, what changes are the Bucs going to make to their passing game schematically to still have it operate at a high level? And John, I want to pick your brain about one thing here. Without Ronald Jones, who didn't do a whole bunch today, hurt the ankle and was out, but had 10 carries for 26 yards. Keyshawn Vaughn came in, 8 carries for 31 yards, caught a pass. Right, he actually had 2 catches for 14 yards. So marked improvement there for Keyshawn Vaughn. But
The first catch was so funny to me, Scott. He caught it and like clutched it to his chest. It was just like, I'm not even trying to shift this ball to like the crook of my elbow. I'm just squeezing it against my chest with both hands.
Right. So now with Keyshawn Vaughn and Le'Veon Bell, and we talked about how I guess for the lack of a better term, lack of acceleration, Le'Veon Bell has at this stage.
Hey, but he made two catches that the team needed, 2 big catches. Third downs, I think, both of them.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be his role, right? He had 3 catches, all 3 targets were caught for 30 yards, including a 15-yarder. So is this enough of a ground game for the Buccaneers for the next week and maybe 2, John? The reason I say that is because, there's no guarantee that Leonard Fournette comes back for the first round of the playoffs, right? And there's no guarantee that Giovanni Bernard will be back by that time either, right? So with Bell, with Vaughn, if Ronald Jones can't play for the next week or 2, they have to make a move to get another running back.
Yeah, that's a whole. I mean, because you have Barner and then Darwin Thompson. Maybe he has to come up if Jones can't play. We'll just have to see what's going on with Jones and what's going on with Sean Murphy-Bunting too. Those were the 2 injuries we know of from this game. We also obviously are going to keep checking on Evans' health. Winfield played this game and made some good plays, so we'll see. The break says, what wide receiver does Green Bay have besides Adams? We got Mike. So what? Look, man, like I'm not going to go into it whole length on the show, but if you watch Devontae Adams all 22 and you watch Mike Evans all 22. You're going to see 2 guys that do totally different stuff. And frankly, Devontae Adams is just a better, more complete player than Mike Adams. People can be pissed at that if they want. Mike Evans is a beast, but he's not the Devontae Adams. Like Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver in the NFL. Mike's never been the best wide receiver in the NFL. He's a good player. There's no question he's a really good player. It's just Devontae Adams. Watch him and then tell me what difference. I mean, I can list the difference. I can go into detail, but that's the part of the thing with Green Bay. And also Green Bay schemes people open at one of the highest rates in the league. The Bucs offense isn't designed that way, so it makes them do some things better because they can beat single coverage a lot, and it makes other things that they do tougher. And right now, given their current personnel, it's going to make things tougher. There's just no question about it, Scott. Look, anywhere Bruce Arians has been, he's 4 deep at wide receiver in Arizona. He was 100 deep in Pittsburgh. He's 1 year in the Colts. I don't know. I forget who they had, but like that's what he's been. Like that's the kind of OC he's been. That's what he's looked for. They've looked for in Tampa Bay. They've tried to add depth at receiver whenever they get a chance. Even with Scotty Miller balling out, they went out and got Antonio Brown. Like they've always tried to draft Allen Johnson. Like they've always tried to do that.
Right.
And the other thing about this, Scott, is that the AB is changing the free agent landscape here because obviously he's totally out of the picture now. So that might change the outlook for a guy like Jordan Whitehead. I'm not talking to change the outlook for everybody, but you have money that you probably, I don't know if they wanted to re-sign AB, but let's just say or you go out and get another number. This team is going to need another wide receiver if they re-sign, even if they re-sign Chris Godwin, they're going to need another wide receiver, especially with Godwin. You're not sure how available he'll be. So wide receiver, all of a sudden, I should say, just becomes a really big need for the Bucs unless something changes over the
time. The thing too, to your point, I mean, I agree. I mean, Devontae Adams is, if he's not the best, he's number 2, and we can debate who number 1 is, but it's not Mike Evans. But the thing is the Packers, they do have the lead dog with Devontae Adams. They also throw the ball to their running backs a lot. You look at Aaron Jones, 47 catches this year. A.J. Dillon, who's a power back, has 31 catches. They spread the ball around. Mercedes Lewis, 23. Robert Tonyan, before he got hurt, 18 catches. But the other receivers are more complimentary, but they're pretty good.
They're good, and they use them right, and they know how to scheme people open. And
Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I mean, there's
and they'll max protect. They'll max protect and give Rodgers time. They just do a lot of really good things. They're tough. They're going to be tough. I think they play tonight against Minnesota and the Vikings backup quarterback, and so they're going to lock in that 1 seed, I'm sure. They'll be tough. And the Cowboys losing today. Arizona is tough. I don't care. I talked about this in the podcast this past week. People are going to look at Arizona. Losing 3 games in a row, I think it was, and they're going to say, they're doing the same thing at the end of the year they've always done. I'm not saying they'll beat anybody in the playoffs. I'm just saying if you watch their losses, they got incredibly unlucky a few times. And I'm no Arizona liker. I mean, I'm all about seeing that. I didn't think they'd be nearly as good. I didn't pick them to make the playoffs. That was my biggest L probably of any of my predictions before the year. And so to see them bounce back today and beat the Cowboys, not surprising to me because they've honestly been right there. Even in this game, they dropped a pick 6 on the first drive defensively, and Kyler Murray missed a touchdown on the first drive offensively, and they still find a way to win the game. they're that good if they can let the missed opportunity, they can get the missed opportunities under control. So NFC just going to be really tough. While nobody has any clue what's going on in the AFC, the NFC is going to be really tough.
Yeah. Speaking of really tough, it's really easy to subscribe to our Pewter Report TV channel. All you have to do is go to YouTube, hit Pewter Report TV, and hit that subscribe button. And then hit like when you watch our videos, whether it's live or whether it's the podcast version that you're watching later, maybe on your commute to work on Monday mornings or the drive home tomorrow from your day of work, because we're going to be on at 4 o'clock. And if you're joining us for the first time, we do podcasts every Sunday before the game. We call the Pewter pregame. Then we've got Pewter game day, where John and either Paul Atwell, today was Matt Matera, taking you all the way through the game with analysis and insight you're not going to get anywhere else. Then we've got, as you're watching right now, the Pewter Report postgame podcast. And then we do podcasts on Pewter Report TV Mondays at 4 o'clock, Wednesdays, which is our game preview podcast at 4 o'clock, and then also Thursdays at 4 o'clock. So make sure you hit subscribe and follow us.
Yeah. And we appreciate this comment, Kingdom Citizenship. This is a really cool podcast. First time viewer. These guys are great at what they do. I love that about the post game shows. They bring in lots of new people. I think a lot of people are just kind of milling around looking for post game content on YouTube, and hopefully we're able to provide some good insight on some of these things, the Bucs and the NFC just in general. So we appreciate that, Kingdom, and appreciate those who nodded kind of agreement in the comments below. We do appreciate that. We appreciate everybody jumping in. This is great stuff. We're going to get to our game balls here in a second for this game, but this was a game the Bucs had to have, Scott. There was no question to stay alive for that 2 seed. And honestly, the more you watch the Cardinals and the Rams, whoever comes out in that division or however that shakes out, but the 5 seed in the NFC looks like a clear team that's tougher than the 6 or 7 seeds. And so you have to play everybody. So whatever, but avoiding the 4 seed is nice. And right now the Bucs sit in the 3 seed. So let's get to our Manscaped game balls here.
Let's do it. John, we're going to be talking about which players stepped up, and do we have to pick on the defensive side? I guess we can. Yeah, we've got to
pick a defensive player. Let me think. Let me pray about this defensive player situation here.
John, let me just say this. While you're praying, I'm going to go ahead and do the Manscaped read, because we have a new one, right, John.
Tell the people, all these people on the show, Scott. Let's tell them it's a new Manscaped read. It's a new year. It could be a new you with Manscaped, ladies and gentlemen. We got some great products to show you. Just listen up here for a minute as Scott goes through this, and then we'll get to our game balls for this one.
Cheers to 2022 and resolutions that you can actually keep. How about having clean and shiny balls all year round? Our sponsors at Manscaped are here to save your balls this year and make sure your balls drop into 2022, the cleanest and sexiest they've ever been. Set your first Manscaped New Year's resolution with good intentions and join the 4 million men worldwide, including myself, John, and the PR staff, who trust Manscaped with their exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com, use the promo code PEWTER20 for 20% off plus free shipping. Okay, so this is the 4.0 performance package, lawnmower 4.0 right here.
This, right.
This electric trimmer is designed to trim your hair on loose skin. Right. The advanced skin-safe technology reduces cuts and nicks on your delicate nuts. It also comes equipped with a 4,000 LED spotlight that, when you're older like me, you need as much light as possible on everything. That will shine a light to the promised land and show you what 2022 is supposed to look like. The grooming routine is not complete without these guys right here. This is the Crop Reviver and the Crop Preserver. Before showing off your 2022 self, these unique formulations take care of the smelliest part of your body and give you a big boost to your confidence heading into the new year. To complete the set, Manscaped threw in the anti-chafing boxer briefs, which, John, correct me if I'm wrong, they're the most comfortable boxer briefs that you have.
They're unbelievable. And the Crop Preserver and Crop Ball deodorant are complete game changers.
And the Shed. This is a quality travel bag. You could keep all of your Manscaped paraphernalia in, including this guy right here. This is the Weed Whacker, and this is fantastic for older guys like myself. I'm 49. Going to be turning 50 this year. You get those nose hairs that get out of control. You stick this bad boy up there. No tugging. It does the job, gets it done, and no snagging. So to get all of these gifts for yourself, and we'll even throw in a pewterreport.com t-shirt, right? We got these in white.
Love them.
We got them in black. We've got them in pewter. Yep. So we're going to give you all of this stuff sent to you. All you got to do is go to manscaped.com, use promo code PEWTER20 to save 20% off, get the free shipping. Then once you get that confirmation email, and whether you're buying the performance package 4.0 or whether you're buying some of these items a la carte, maybe you just want the weed whacker, the ear hair nose trimmer, that's fine. Once you make your purchase, forward me your email receipt. It doesn't have your financial information, don't want it, don't need it, but it does have your address, which I do need to send you the free Pewter Report shirt. Send it to me at sr@pewterreport.com, sr@pewterreport.com, and let me know which color you want, whether it's black, whether it's white, whether it's gray, and then the size, and I'll send that off to you. So make sure that you make 2022 a Manscaped year, John.
Hey, listen, I'm all for it, and I appreciate everybody's comments in here. Shaggy says, John, you didn't see the new script, did you? 100% did not, Shaggy. I appreciate you noticing that. So great stuff. No question about it. We joke and we laugh, but honestly, Manscaped is unbelievable.
It is a game changer.
Truly one of the best products
and a
you can
ball
ever
changer.
invest in. It is. It's amazing. All right, let's get to our game balls for this one. By the way, as you're pulling that up and as you're thinking of your game balls here, Scott, just want to point out that Cowboys wide receiver Michael Gallup suffered a torn ACL and is out for the year in this one. They are deep at receiver, and Cedric Wilson has been arguably as good this year. So they'll overcome it, but sucks for Gallup, who's going to be a free agent, similar to Godwin. That's a tough spot for him to be in. And then, right now, we'll see what happens, but the Saints are in a situation where they could get the 7 seed. I have to check the scenarios, but that could be, if the Bucs end up with a 2 seed, it's still not out of the question for them to be playing the Saints potentially in the first round of the playoffs, which again, as I've said, I welcome it. But
as the Buccaneers proved last year, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row, John.
It's hard to beat a team 3 times. And
maybe,
we'll see. I mean,
maybe for
without your wideouts,
Bucks,
I might change my answer though. I might actually rather face the 49ers without, considering the Bucs are without 2 of their best offensive players now.
Yeah.
Because
I would agree. Yeah.
That because the 49ers are just so much worse in the secondary, and the Saints just match up really well if you don't have wideouts.
Yep,
if they had AB and he wasn't, being a clown, then okay, it'd be a different story.
Right.
But given the situation, I think I might rather face the 49ers. I might change my answer, although neither are easy. So just
that's true.
Let's hope the Eagles win.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. All right, game balls.
Here's my game balls. First of all, I broadcast this on Twitter. I take back every negative thing I've ever said about Cyril Grayson. This guy, I am not saying that he is as good as Mike Evans or Chris Godwin.
But you're not saying
Mike Evans, but I'm not saying it either, right? I mean, holy smokes, all this guy does is get 81 yards a game. That's a pretty good average. And he's got 2 touchdowns on the year. Came in with 5 catches. So he's got 6 now. He's got 11 catches and 2 touchdowns on the season. That's pretty impactful, John, in terms of the number of touchdowns to catch ratio. So I like what I've seen out of Cyril Grayson. He's a great story. I kid this guy unmerciful for the doink off the face mask last year when he had a potential touchdown against the Buccaneer for the Buccaneers. Tom Brady threw him a pass, hit him right in the face mask. And you know what, to his credit, John, you know what he did? He actually owned that and he put it up on his Twitter feed. And kind of took a shot. For some reason, the Pewter Report Twitter was not brought up as a kind of like I told you.
I don't think it was ever tweeted, right? You said stuff on the pod, but you didn't tweet it.
Maybe I think I tweeted
maybe
it
I'm
too.
wrong. Maybe you might have. He didn't find it.
Didn't find it. Yeah, but I'm owning up to it now. And listen, I said this guy's an absolute baller, and he was. That was a great performance today by him. 2 weeks in a row now, he's had a really good game. So I think the arrow's pointing out for this guy. Really happy to see him step up, because without AB, without Godwin, they're going to need some more guys to step up, and hopefully it's Cyril Grayson on a regular basis from here on out.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely hope that one of those guys, or all of them at different times, perhaps, are going to have to step up and just be difference makers for this team down the stretch. And we'll see a lot of this is going to be matchups too, right, Scott? Like
it is.
Who has top secondaries and who they play is going to matter.
Right. And I think on the defensive side, I'm going to give it to Anthony Nelson again for what I said. Fumble recovery today. Not that the game was in doubt on that last drive, but he was the Johnny on the spot and did that. He had a sack, applied really good pressure today. Had 2 tackles for loss, 3 tackles in the game. For a defense that didn't really do much of anything of note except look bad, I really appreciate Anthony Nelson for the player he's kind of becoming. He's never going to be a star.
Right.
But you know what? If he ends up being a guy that you re-sign and he's kind of like your constant 3 or at least a very good 4 on your depth chart at outside linebacker and gives you quality snaps, quality rushes.
Right.
Yeah. I like where he's at right now.
Yeah, his development and Cam Gill's development has made it so you can be. I know you wrote about this in the Fab this past week, where you need to draft another edge rusher, and I don't disagree with you. I'm all about loading up on edge rushers. I just want to see what's there, but I don't think you're beholden to do anything in any one particular position. If you've got Shaq, JTS back next year, and then you've got Anthony Nelson, Cam Gill behind those guys, and you're going to add somebody else. You're going to have 5 probably. And it's not going to be Elijah Ponder. I think it's going to be somebody else, whether it's JPP healthy for cheap for 1 year just to finish his career or whatever they want to do. I don't know. We'll see. But that is going to be a good enough group, in my opinion, with the development I expect JTS to have for this one. So my game balls quickly, Scott, in this one, 100% Antoine Winfield defensively. I thought he made some really good plays in this game. I think he led the team in tackles, which you don't want your safety leading the team in tackles.
That's right.
But the fact that he did is a good indication. He made some really big stops in this game too. He broke up a pass down the field in the first half of this game. That was a great play. Almost had a pick, actually. He was out of bounds a little bit there. But he kept the lid on things. They didn't allow splash plays necessarily down the field. No big gainers, no 40-plus yarders or anything like that. So he kept the lid on things as well as he could. Though the group in front of him really struggled, no question about it. I don't know if I would say it's his best game ever, but I would say he's the guy defensively that I felt like played well, especially coming off of injury and being out a couple of games like he had. And then offensively, to me, it's Tom Brady. I mean, this game in some ways, Scott, will be, it's funny because Brady obviously has played bigger games for the Bucs. I mean, he played great in this game, but he played more important games for the Bucs, I should say. And, he was just unflappable in this game. It may be the one I remember him for the most in terms of what he's meant to Tampa Bay, because as everything is crumbling around him, right, as Tyler Johnson's dropping third downs, Mike Evans is messing up around and points at where the defense is struggling against a team of backups. Ali Marpet and Ryan Jensen, we still have not seen the plays. I'm not going to act like they call them out because I haven't seen the plays. I don't know if those were good calls or not, but they get personal foul penalties called against them, kill drives. They get backed up into a 3rd and 20 after Marpet's. They're down AB, who's throwing a fit and throwing his clothes off and leaving the field. He's literally yelling in one end zone while Brady's dropping dimes to Rashad Perryman, who the Lions and Bears didn't want, and the Jets didn't want. And Le'Veon Bell's out here as Ronald Jones goes down, and he's making, he's getting the ball to Bell, and Vaughn, he's trusting you. He's throwing the ball to Vaughn. And guys struggled and guys stepped up. And you know what? I said it on the live show. I thought if there's everybody wants to talk, oh, Brady this, Brady that. And I think Brady, it's the biggest thing as he gets older is the frustration with incompetence around him. Yeah. And I think that was the biggest reason why at the end of the Saints game, he throws the pick that he did, that and Scotty Miller falling off his route. But I think those are the big reasons why at the end of the game, you see frustration from him come out at times, and he maybe forces a thing or two. In this game, I said, look, everybody around him has been totally incompetent other than Gronk for most of the game. And then Grayson at the end of the game. This whole game, he's got to find a way to kind of keep things together for this team and finish this game and get them a win they should get. And you know what? This time he did it. He kept it together to lead a team 93 yards without any timeouts is crazy at the end of a game for a touchdown, 15 seconds on the clock. It was
7 of 9 for 93 yards and a touchdown in under 2 minutes with no timeouts.
Right. And one of those was a drop. And it was just a great
and he ended up 34 of 50 for 410 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. But again,
and he hit 40 touchdowns too. Again, so 2 straight years, 16 games, 40 touchdowns.
That's right. 7 of 9 for 93 yards. And all of those targets were either to Tyler Johnson or to Cyril Grayson.
Yeah. And I think so right now, by the way, good point by you on that one, that final drive, just not even using Evans and Gronkowski because, crazy. I think, by the way, Tom Brady, 4,990 yards now this season. So he is 119 yards away from the franchise record set by Winston in 2019. Obviously, he'll have the extra game in this one. And then for the single season touchdown record, he tied last year's in the 16 games. So he just needs one against the Panthers to break
his own record. Yeah.
So 16 games, 40 touchdowns, 16 games, 40 touchdowns each year.
And
so
if he needs 16 touchdowns next week to beat Peyton Manning's all-time record of 55 in a single season. Yeah.
16. Yeah.
It's only 4 a quarter, John. I mean, I'm not going to rule anything out when it comes to the GOAT.
He's had some games this year where he looked like he might get it, honestly.
Don't think it's going to happen.
Right.
But
don't think about it. People want to know about MVP now, and we'll just have to see. I mean, Rodgers is getting the Vikings tonight without their starting quarterback, and there's going to be a chance to pile up numbers there, which is all people look at. Josh Allen fell off today, and Joe Burrow might be making a light case. I don't even know where the MVP thing's at right now. Brady's obviously deserving. I'm sure there's a few other players who are deserving. There almost always are, and we'll just have to see how things
shake out. You've got the Jonathan Taylor crowd, and listen, I like running the ball and running backs as much as anybody, but it's not Jonathan Taylor. It's either Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers.
Colts lost today, by the way, and Taylor ran for over 100 yards. So numbers, people, what is happening? How could they have lost? Oh, he's funny. But okay, we'll be back tomorrow on the show, 4 p.m. Eastern. We break this one down more in depth. We'll also have Bruce Arians' comments tomorrow. Maybe he'll give us a little more on AB. He's somebody who's like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. And then he ends up saying stuff.
Right.
Like Greg Allman said players are taking their pads off. And he was like, whoa, not players. Yeah. One player. One player. And it was like he was making a point.
Yeah.
One dude on this team was a problem and he gone now. Like, and that's Scott, you and I know, like this, we'll finish with this. This is the most high character locker room in the league. I really believe that.
Yeah.
And now you don't have to put the asterisks on it anymore. Like that's all I'm going to say. Like this is back to being that type. And we'll see. Maybe at the end of the day, they don't get where they're trying to go.
Yeah.
But in terms of the guys in that locker room, like,
well, and listen, we're going to get the victory lap column from John Romano at the Times. And I mean, he can say he's right all he wants and stuff. But at the end of the day, we've said it all along. Antonio Brown is a mercenary. He's a hired gun. Right. Yeah. And he did his job. And when his job was done, he let everyone know. He took the pads off and he's done.
Hey, he did his job up until this point.
Up until this point.
He didn't do his job anymore and he gone. So that's situation with him. Obviously, like I said, we'll be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll break down more of this thing. We'll give you some thoughts too on what Arians has to say about that and the team moving forward, as well as injuries to Ronald Jones and to Sean Murphy-Bunting. We'll see what those situations are. So until then, thank you so much. We appreciate y'all. Hit that like, subscribe to Pewter Report TV, subscribe to the podcast. We appreciate y'all. Thanks so much for joining us on another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.